ask about the sort of the new economic deals that China is signing with countries like Iran. I mean, are you concerned that there's going to be a growing, Chinese presence in the Middle East, enhanced ties with countries that are seen as against U.S. interests? How should we be looking about sort of Chinese response in terms of their growing footprint in other producing zones?
Yeah, look, I think back to my opener, the world is kind of coming up weak to Chinese approach. I mean, back to my comment about the United States, U.S. companies are an expression of our soft diplomacy. I mean, the reason why is because U.S. companies, when they go in, they're investing in a place because they want to see a return. And the host country also gets a benefit. It's not the case in China. I would also go back to what I said earlier with respect to Congress has a role. We have a hyper-partisan situation in Congress and the country, yet one of the few areas that can provide partisan unity is with respect to Russia. I mentioned CATSA. That was an overwhelming bipartisan piece of legislation. No one wants to have to make the choice between investing with the United States or investing with Gazprom.
I mean, if we just sort of think about the Libyan conflict, are you growing more optimistic that we can get a resolution? Or do you think that this is something that we're going to be dealing with potentially on like a multi-year basis, this conflict, as more countries seem to be sort of entrenching their positions? And some people have been talking about a potential confrontation, for example, between Egypt and Turkey through Libya.
Yeah, I mean, Egypt and Turkey have a lot of other areas where they have concerns with one another, but it would be awful for Libya to be the front of that conflict. Again, we're engaged with all of these countries through multiple channels and encouraging them to stop. It's critically important. We're encouraging them to get back to the UN negotiated discussions. We think that's an appropriate forum to voice concerns, but really we need to get the oil moving again. I guess really I see three trends in the post-COVID pandemic world that were already moving, that were already in existence for a variety of other reasons, but COVID has accelerated the direction and the pace of some of those evolving trends. I'll speak to three specifically: energy cooperation, green energy or clean energy, and then issues with respect to China. I think there's been a lot of talk about China historically leading green energy technologies and all of this kind of things. But I think the COVID experience and kind of the mask diplomacy that I think has failed by the Chinese, the rest of the world is awakening to the challenge that China faces in a variety of realms. And you're seeing this acceleration of level of scrutiny.
This content is based on information available at the time it was recorded and is for informational purposes only. It is not an offer to buy or sell or a solicitation, and no recommendations are implied. It is outside the scope of this communication to consider whether it is suitable for you and your financial objectives.